Hello there, it's Andy Ewens from FormaServe once again. Here in our eighth and final module, we'll be continuing our bite-sized training on writing bash scripts for our IBM I. In this section of our bash scripting tutorial, we will take a look at how bash can work with the IBM I. It gives us an alternative to using CL and can be used as a gateway to using more open source on our favourite server. If you missed our previous video in this series, Customizing Bash Scripts, it can be found on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to my channel to be notified when our next video has been released. In the first part of this video, we will be taking a look at all the IBM I specific built-in commands in bash. For instance, we will answer the questions: how do I create a library in bash? And how can I get my job number in bash? In the second part, we will be taking a look at how we use a bash script to ensure one of our open source products has all the necessary prereqs loaded and open source packages it needs. Then hopefully you can take this away and tailor it to your own needs. Let's get on with this final session. The first of the IBM I stuff I'm going to show you is system, which runs a CL command, and CL, which runs a CL command. So what is the difference? With system, it spawns a new job, so it runs the command in a different job to the one you are running your bash session in, which is great if you do not care about the job after it ends. For instance, if I wanted to create a new library, using system would be just fine. But if I wanted to add a library to my library list in my bash session, it would have no effect whatsoever. It would run in a new session, then end. No good for anyone. Very similar to running a job in batch. Whereas the CL runs the command in the session we are running in. So this time, an add library list entry would work just as we intend it to, just like it would in an interactive job. I hope I got that right, Jesse. Let me show you in a quick example. As they say, a picture paints something or other. If I run system add library list entry, it says it's done it. But if I display my library list, it ain't there. If I use CL to add the library, then display it, there it is. To summarise, using system spawned a new job, then run the command, so not seen by my current job. But by using CL, it ran my command in the current job, so it can be seen and be used. The next one to look at is GetJobID. It does exactly what you expect. It returns the full job details of the current bash job. It returns the job name, the user, and the job number. If I specify the -v flag to GetJobID, it returns a nice little table. It shows the process ID, the parent process ID, the processor group, the job status, and the fully qualified job name. All very handy when writing job details to an application log. And the last one of these bash built-in functions is LibList, which allows us to manipulate our library list in our bash job. Just specifying LibList without any parameters, it echoes out our current library list, showing the system part, the current production library, the current library, and the user part of our library list. If I add -a flag to LibList, it allows me to add a library to the list. If I want to add a library to the top of my library list, the -f flag will add it to the top of the list, F for first. Whereas -l will add it to the end of the library list, L for last. And to follow on, A-D, yes, you can guess, removes a library from my library list. A-C allows me to change my current library. Please note that to use these new built-in functions, you need to be running bash 4.4.3 on your IBM I. Anything greater than that, these will be there. In this next part of our final bash bite-sized training, we'll be taking a look at the bash script we use at FormaServe to check one of our products has all the necessary prereqs loaded onto the box. As always, this script will be available on our GitHub repo for you to customize to your own requirements and needs. The link for our GitHub repo is in the description below. So what does this script do? It will check we have all the required open source products loaded. It will then check if the product's open source packages are installed. Then check if the necessary IFS directories for the product exist. And finally, we'll check all the required libraries are there. Let me fire up Visual Studio Code and take a look at this script. The first part of the bash script is the functions. Let me blow this up and go through them one by one. The first function we have is the function to check if a library exists on our box. This function is called library_exists. It takes one parameter passed into it, the name of the library to check. Then, using local variables, we set the return variable return underscore to 0, and we then set the library variable to have the qsys.lib prefix, the name of the library passed into the function, and add a .lib at the end, as we are using the IFS naming convention. And then an if statement with the -d and -L flags. The -d will check if it's a directory or a library in this case. The -L will check if it's a directory or a symbolic link. If it passes both these tests, it sets the return variable return underscore to 1. It then echoes out the result of the function test and returns to its caller. That's the first function completed. On to the next one. The next function is called directory_exists and very similar to the previous one. It takes the name of the directory to check, but this time we set the variable to have a couple of slashes around it, then perform the if test, which is the same as the previous library_exists function, and again it echoes out the result of the function test and returns to its caller. The third function is a bit different from the previous two. It is called program_is_installed. Firstly, it sets the return value to 1. The next line is in two parts. Firstly, it attempts to type the name of the program to check to a null device. If that fails, it sets the return variable to 0. Again, it then echoes out the result of the function. This part will come clearer later, honest. The fourth function checks if an npm package has been installed. The function is called npm_package_is_installed. The main difference with this function is that it performs an ls of all the node modules subdirectory. It then uses the grep function to search for the input parameter. If it is not found, therefore not installed, it sets the return variable to 0. Again, it echoes out the return value. The next two functions are very similar. They are the echo fail and the echo pass functions. The first one, the fail, prints out in red the X character, whereas the pass function prints out in green a tick character. Both functions reset the cursor color before completing. The next function is the echo if function, which gets executed passing a parameter of either 0 for fail or 1 for pass, and execute the function depending on this argument. It also passes the name of the package or program to check. And that is all of our functions out of the way. Now on to calling them. The first section checks we have some open source programs on our box. Firstly, it checks if Node is installed by calling the program is installed function with an argument of Node, and it then executes the echo if function with what has been returned from the program is installed function. It does this 3 times for Node, Yum and npm. Next, it checks if we have 30 or so Node packages installed. Very similar to the previous check, but this one calls the npm package is installed function, passing the value of the name of the package to check. Next, we have a check to see if directories exist on our IFS. The first line calls the directory_exist function, then calls the echo if statement, passing a value of FTP. Then it checks for a subdirectory of temp off the FTP directory, and finally a check of the subdirectory of save files off the FTP directory. The next check is to see if 3 libraries exist on the box. The first line calls the function library_exists with a parameter of FTP. And then the results of that is passed back to the echo_if function. It then moves on to the other 2 libraries, YAJL, thanks Scott, and the temp library. And that wraps up our check install script. It's all ready to go. For testing purposes, I've removed the IFS directories it's going to check. Right, let me fire up a bash session and give it a test. Check install.sh and let's see what we got. Firstly, we see the check of open source packages on the box. Node, Yum and npm are installed. Good start. Then onto the open source packages our application needs. Here we can see our green ticks if installed and red X's if not. Even my eyes can see that. Again, for testing, I've deleted a few. More than a few to be honest. Then checking our IFS directories. Then finally onto our libraries. And the script completes. Yeah, happy with that. So we can see how easy it is to run a check of libraries, directories and packages on our box. Let me know if you can use this and what for. And that wraps up our 8th and final module on using Bash on our IBM I. I hope you enjoyed this series and have learned how we can use Bash to supplement our coding options on the IBM I. Don't be afraid to use Bash. You will be surprised how many open source developers use Bash in their day-to-day work. Look out for our next topic in our How To on IBM I series of bite-sized training. Subscribe to our channel so you will be informed of the next video is available. The link is in the description below. Take care and see you soon. Thank you. If you need any further details about open source or IBM I, check out all our videos at learning.formaserve.co.uk and the articles we have written for powerwire.eu. I hope you find them useful and let us know if there are any other topics you want us to cover. Even through these difficult times, my company, FormaServe, is still providing training on our favourite platform, the IBM I. Whether it's remotely, through a mask, we are still here for you. If it's traditional programming using RPG and CL, or the modern methods of integrating open source into your infrastructure, we are here to help. We have over 30 years of teaching on the IBM I. Why not use us to get up to date and be at the forefront of the post-pandemic world? FormaServe uses Microsoft Teams software to develop top-notch training material. Take a look. You will not be disappointed. As many students have found, all our training is very informal. It's the way to learn. Find out what it's like to have fun while training. And that wraps up this quick video. Thank you for watching our How To on IBM I video set. I hope you found them useful. Keep checking out our website learning.formaserve.co.uk and our YouTube channel. We regularly add new ones. Stay safe and we'll see you soon. Thank you.